Hello friends, Clage back, another Punishing Grey Raven video today. Finally, after a bit of a notable little break here, I kind of realized once I got the DMC guides done and had worked on the new Warzone rotations, put out Warzone examples, that I might have been a tad burned out between the lead up to EVO, jumping back immediately into making really long detailed guides for the DMC characters. It kind of all caught up with me, so gave myself a little breather, took a little break, but I am back working on stuff. I have a lot of video ideas in the works. For those of you who've asked in the past if I would do lore videos, I am currently rereading the entire story, starting from the events on the Niter, which is our first introduction to Kowloon and all that stuff, and I am taking vigorous notes as I reread the story. So I'm not going to tell you lore videos are imminent, but I am planning on doing those somewhere down the road, but I have a lot to read. A lot to read. PGR is a big story, and I'm going back and rereading even the hidden chapters and stuff. So it's going to be a little bit, but I do kind of want to dive into the lore section of this game for some video content down the road. So bear with me as I get caught up on the story and work on that, but that is definitely in the future plans. So got some other ideas in the work, but today I want to talk about something specific that may interest a lot of you new players, and that is our anniversary rate up banners. So those of you who are newer, started with the global sync or started specifically to play the Devil May Cry collab, 100% rate up banners for existing units, not the newest units available, are very rare in Punishing Grey Raven. We do not get these very often. And even more rare is the anniversary style banner, where not only do you get 100% rate up on just about any character in the roster, you get to choose which one you want, and you can roll as many copies of them as you would like. And it's not limited to one. If you want to roll, let's say, a couple copies of Ishmael, and then you also want to roll your first copy of Pyro Oath, that is a thing you can do with this banner. There is no limit to how much you spend on it, other than your own resources and, of course, your own disposable income if you decide you're going to pony up some money for PGR. But these do not come around very often at all. So when they do come around, it is a good time to try and take advantage of filling holes in your roster and picking up characters that you may not have had a chance to roll as you saved for the DMC collab. Now, I am painfully aware that a lot of you are not going to have resources for this banner. We are in the middle of the Devil May Cry collab, which is the biggest FOMO moment in this game's history. If you don't get Devil May Cry stuff during this patch, you don't get it, period, and you probably don't get another shot. So I understand a lot of you will not have the extra resources, the extra scratch to spend on 100% rate up banners, but since so many people are new and this is such a rare occasion, I thought I would go through this real quick and kind of talk about how the banner works and who you should consider targeting if you do have some extra resources to roll on this banner. I've gone over multiple videos, the partners for Dante and Virgil and how their teams work, so I'm not going to go super heavy into that, but I do still want to give some guidelines and suggestions for how to approach these banners if you are intending to spend some coin on this. So the first thing I would strongly recommend about the 100% rate up banner is don't target anyone that can be gotten for free. So this includes our dorm voucher characters like Isla, like Alyssa. They can be gotten for free in the dorm commission shop, which you get for doing your daily dorm commissions. No reason to target them there. Wansha is also available in the dorm commissions. Other characters that are currently meta but are available in the voucher shop, like Crimson Weave, like Lilith. Lilith also has her original banner that you should still have if you have not rolled her. It's a mission-based banner. You will get a copy of Lilith for free sooner or later if you do her banner. Look in the events section if you haven't done this or you've forgotten about it. It will be buried somewhere in the lower part of your events section. So if you have not done Lilith's unique banner, it's eternal, it's evergreen, you can do it anytime. So just a reminder to not go ahead and target anyone who you can get for free. That's obviously not a good use of your funds when we have 100% rate up. So for characters that are worth targeting on these banners, of course, Han Ying is Virgil's tank for both physical and the Ultima Slash teams. If you don't have Han Ying, this is a great time to pick her up. If you do have her, but you want her to feel more functional on the Ultima Slash team, and you want to get her to double S3, this is a good time to grab a copy or two to get to those break points. So Han Ying is definitely a worthwhile consideration if you have the ability to pull on this banner. The other side of the coin, Dante's tank, Watanabe, I do not suggest targeting right now. Watanabe is getting a leap in the next patch, and because he gets a leap, that also means he goes into the voucher shop. So as of the next patch, which as of this recording, I believe is just over 3 weeks away, Watanabe will be a unit you can acquire for free. Now, if you're free to play, you know it takes a while to build up the vouchers to get all the shards, but you can get there with time. So because Watanabe is about to swap over to being a free unit, I would not recommend spending resources on him just because you can put those towards much more difficult things to get. If you're working on building Dante, his ignition tank, Nanami, is available on this banner, so that's worth considering. Obviously, she's a key part of the ignition team. She is the lightning tank. You get multi-purpose roles out of Nanami, so she's definitely worth considering if you do not have her. Should note that if you have not done the Thunderbolt research, I have an entire guide or video on that from a prior patch, but the Thunderbolt research that is mission-based as well and stays in your event tab until you completely clear it out. There is a 100% banner buried in that as well, and that goes up to Nanami, so if you haven't done that, that is another option for getting her at 100% rate up. And then the other major recommendation I would have is Ishmael. Ishmael, of course, is one of the most flexible units in the game. She can fill holes on your roster for any team that is not a physical-based team. So any elemental team she can slot in as the amplifier or the tank if you are lacking those particular units. She is very, very versatile, and getting her at 100% rate up is definitely worth considering, especially for your newer players who may have started after Ishmael's patch had ended. This character can really fill the gaps in your roster for a good long while as you slowly build up the meta characters and all that. If none of those particularly interest you and you're looking for examples of good characters to consider targeting, the three big attackers here are also worth investment. Obviously, Pyro Oath is a fire attacker. If you've heavily invested in Dante and you have him built, you probably don't want another fire attacker right now, so she's probably the least appealing to a lot of you. But if you did not roll Dante or you're not interested in DMC, obviously she is the premier fire attacker and a very, very strong unit. Luna Oblivion is the only Nihil attacker we have. She enables the entire Nihil team by herself, and anytime you run into Nihil content, if you don't have her, you will feel it, but once you do have her, it becomes a lot smoother to work with, so absolutely worth considering. And the last one being Chu. Chu is still the premier ice attacker. She's going to remain in that role for a good long while and is still quite good at it, so if your ice team has been lacking, you don't have a chance to really build up anything outside of Wancha from the dorm commissions, Chu is also worth considering on this banner. Basically, everyone else I would not recommend. Lamia is getting replaced in the next patch. We will be getting a new Dark Attacker, so I do not recommend targeting Lamia. And basically, every other unit on this banner is either notably outdated and has since been replaced in their meta spot, or they can be gotten for free via the voucher shop or other means. So if you really, really want to roll one of the older characters, you absolutely can do that. If you are a collector or you want to have one of these older S ranks that you didn't get a chance to get because you started playing this year, that is an option, but obviously that's a pretty heavy investment of resources for something that is solely for collection and or non-competitive leaderboard mode gameplay. But don't let me tell you who to roll on. Whoever you like, definitely use this opportunity to grab them if you want to get an older unit that you haven't had a chance to pick up yet. So that pretty much goes over how the 100% banners work. I just wanted to put this out because I'm sure there's some new players who are starting to collect some black cards and reward cards from doing their dailies and doing the event quests and all that good stuff. And if you have the extra scratch on hand, this is absolutely worth considering. Again, we don't get banners like this very often. At most, we get these select whoever you want and roll as many as you want at most twice a year. We barely see these happen. 100% rate ups are very rare in this game, other than for the new character who comes out with each patch. So just something to keep in mind. If you have some extra funds, this is worth considering. Our next patch will be a single paid S rank, so we do have another S rank coming here soon, but this is also essentially the end of the global sync. We will probably have one more double patch sometime in October, and then we will be synced up with the rest of the world in PGR. So that means you're not going to have to pull S ranks every single patch going forward once we get to fall this year. So you're going to have more time to build up resources, more time to build up black cards and orange cards to roll on new constructs. So do keep that in mind, that things are going to slow down. It's not going to be such a breakneck pace in getting new S ranks or multiple S ranks per patch. We're going to have sane amounts of things to do in patches here very soon. As you can kind of already tell playing this collab, this has a lot to do because it's a collab patch, but you're noticing there's not near as many events on the event tab as there have been for the double and triple patches. So just keep that in mind. Plan ahead the best you can. We will have a new S rank, but after that, we know it's an A rank, so there is going to be a little bit of a gap in needing to get new constructs. So if you're looking to fill out your roster and you're a newer player for the collab, definitely consider this if you have the resources to go after it. But that's going to do it for this one. I just wanted to go over this real quick and get a video out since it had been over a week. So I'll let you guys stew on this one for a little bit. If you are a new player, you have questions, you want some advice on who you should target with the 100% rate up if you're going to be rolling on this banner, feel free to leave those down in the comments. I try to answer those as often and as regularly as I can. And yeah, if you are polling, best of luck. I hope you get somebody early and save yourself some scratch. But otherwise, I am going to get back to working on finishing some more story notes, working on a couple other video guides I have in mind for future stuff, and of course probably within the next week or two I should be getting test server access for our next patch, and I will do all the stuff you'd normally expect. We'll go through the test server, see what's changed, see what new is coming, and then of course I will be working on a guide for a brand new S rank that'll be out sometime next month. So look forward to that, but that's going to do it for now. So thank you for being patient while I gave myself a slight breather after finally being done with event work and finally getting through those two massive guides. For those of you who sat and watched all those, thank you very much. They were a lot of work. I definitely appreciate y'all's feedback and taking the time to watch what are effectively feature-length films talking about two characters. So very, very much appreciate that. But I'm going to get out of y'all's hair. Y'all be good. Take care of each other. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.